I can't believe there's still countries that want to host the Olympics. Now, these are all the places who are trying or who have been rejected from hosting the 2036 Olympics. I feel like there's always some major controversy whenever a country hosts the Olympics. Like the big one I think a lot of people's minds go to is when Brazil hosted the Olympics in 2016. Oh, my home city of LA is hosting the Olympics in 2 years. I need to get the hell out of here. Now, it's interesting because I know that the city of Los Angeles is trying a lot to improve all sorts of things before the Olympics, so that's been kind of nice, I guess. Like, get this, they're actively trying to improve the LA Metro, which it used to be just this, that's it. Oh, and we're also about to finally be able to go from LAX to that LA Metro, because before you just weren't able to do that. What? You want your major international airport to connect with easy public transit? The does that mean? Here's the thing though, most of these bids to host the 2036 Olympics have been rejected. For example, Indonesia was the latest rejection because they said they're going to reject Israeli athletes. Bro, that's a crazy one. Were they not actively trying to host it? Were they just trolling? Because that's some crazy work. So apparently what they actually did is they barred Israeli athletes from a World Cup competition. Basically, Indonesia has an Israeli athlete visa ban going on, which means they're probably definitely not going to be hosting those 2036 Olympics. I mean, what else do they expect? 87% of the Indonesian population is Muslim. I just now realized this is now going to be the 100-year anniversary of the 1936 Olympics, obviously. And the country that hosted those Olympics 100 years ago is also offering to host the 2036 Olympics. Germany trying to do it again. Let's just hope this guy doesn't show up for the 100-year I'm just gonna stop right there. Germany, I kind of feel like this is a little bit of an awkward situation, you know, because this is like one of the most famous Olympics of all time. Like, I don't even know who hosted the 1932 Olympics, but I think a lot of people know who hosted the 1936 Olympics, that's for sure. Y'all really want to try to take the 2036 Olympics? Do you really want to remind everybody the last time? Never mind. The Germans have definitely hosted Olympics after 1936, but do you really want this anniversary date here? There's actually only 3 countries with confirmed bids. That is Chile, Turkey, and India. Green is just potential bids, so Canada, we talked about Germany, Denmark, Hungary, Italy, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, China, again, wait, China already hosted Olympic kind of recently. Was that the Winter Olympics? And South Korea. Honestly, I think it'd be cool to have India host the Olympics. They've never hosted the Olympic Games. They're also really, really bad at getting gold medals. Like, considering their population levels, they just don't get gold medals. It's really weird. I mean, they literally got their first gold medal ever in track and field just in 2021. Maybe if they host it, this will inspire more of the country to take up some of the games. Oh, I didn't realize Qatar also trying to host. I forgot about that. To be fair, the black countries either had it canceled, their bid, or the bid was suspended, or the bid was just straight up rejected. That might be the case for Russia. Yeah, Ukraine, you probably can't. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that either, Ukraine. Dealing with a lot right now. People, however, are already congratulating Saudi Arabia in the comment section because, well, they got money. It's as simple as that. There are some recent examples of the Olympics actually being financially profitable, but yeah, you got to do it in a cheap way. I think that's what LA is trying to do. They're going to do it for real cheap. India would be interesting because they don't have a very big Olympic presence compared to their population. Not to say they don't like sports, it's just they're doing their own thing. You know, I gotta say, I don't even really blame countries for doing this all around the world. Yes, rail and other types of trains was the hot new thing in the 19th century and the early 20th century, but to see it decrease in so many places, I mean, yeah, what other technology, transportation technology, came out after that? Like, the automobile literally revolutionized so many different aspects of living. Like, with trains, you obviously can't go anywhere you want, you're stuck to the rail, you gotta share it with other passengers. Feels boring, it's loud, again, you can only do like set destinations. I'm not surprised that so many countries basically abandoned rail for the automobile. However, that has come to bite a whole lot of places, more than just Ireland, in the ass. Let me tell you, someone from the US. This is known as the glory days of public transit in Southern California. We don't even have half of these lines anymore. I think we have maybe 25% or less nowadays. You could go literally from Newport Beach all the way down here in Orange County up to the San Fernando Valley. Cars affected so many different types of transportation in general, not just rail. But the whole point is here, can you blame them? Like, if I'm living in the 1920s, I'm gonna like, screw everything else, I want a car. Let's just start building our cities entirely for cars. Car-dependent infrastructure sounds great, doesn't it? No. No, it's not. Now, in the case of Ireland, there's a couple contributing factors, but you better believe that it was mostly because of the rise of road transportation. Then keep in mind, governments overall just heavily favored increasing roads and increasing more automobile infrastructure. The only issue is I don't think anyone in the past 100 years would be able to predict just how much we would be desperately asking for trains again. It seems like an old dead technology, right? Well, not when the trains go literally like 300 miles an hour. And also considering when like 90% of your population own cars and they drive every day, that would lead to a lot of congestion. Which just reminded me how just recently millions in China got stuck in gridlock traffic for 24 hours. And the thing is, China's got trains too. They actually got some of the best trains in the entire world, and yet they're still having to deal with this mess. So anyways, point is, I don't even blame governments and different people back in the day for like kind of abandoning rail. Like obviously cars were the hot new thing. It's just now, you know, Ireland and the US need to catch back up. We need to go back. We need to go back to the rail days. Because here's the thing, even if you're not going to use the high-speed public transit, it's still going to benefit you. Have you seen how cheap airplane tickets are in Europe? It's because people can just ride the train. There actually needs to be competition between the massive public transit industries. I might not take one of these trains even once, and yet I'll still benefit by buying a $30 plane ticket that they have to sell for super cheap to compete. Luckily, it looks like Ireland has plans to upgrade, reopen, and build new lines by 2050. Okay, 25 years, that's something. See, here's the thing, like a lot of people are going to say, you know, same in Poland, same in this country and that country. A lot of places are dealing with the same stuff. I think that maybe they could hinder us now, but at the time, like the popular thing, even with the people themselves, was cars. In the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they were like screw trains. So the US loves acting like we are the only ones with major cities, but purely in terms of population, that is definitely not the case. First of all, the biggest city in all of North America is actually Mexico City, beating out New York City by like 500,000 basically. But the really funny thing is, North America doesn't even have the biggest cities in the American continents. It's actually Sao Paulo, Brazil at number 1, then Lima, Peru in number 2. Now I know what you might be saying, oh, but Drew, I've actually heard figures that the number is actually 20 million and yada. There's so many different ways to define cities. There's like the metropolitan area, there's like the included surrounding suburban regions. These numbers are specifically coming out of the within city limits, because I think I've seen figures that show Los Angeles have way more than 3.8 million. Regardless, I think a lot of people just forget how many human beings live in South America. I think there also might be an aspect of this that like just the population density of this continent is a lot more different than North America. People are less spread out. They live in bigger cities. Even a place like Guatemala City has more people in it than all of Houston. Houston is the 4th biggest city in all of the US, which reminds me of this TikTok trend of people like debating what is the 4 biggest cities in the US. Like everyone always says New York and then Los Angeles, and then mostly people pick Chicago, but no one can figure out or come into agreement what the 4th big city is. And it's not purely a population thing. We're talking culturally, we're talking influence. AI seems to say it's actually Washington, D.C. that's the 4th largest. I mean, I guess I get that argument, but I don't agree. Kind of boring, I feel like. If you do it purely in terms of GDP, it would actually be San Francisco in 4th. It's just funny that the only thing we can all agree on is that it's definitely not Houston. It is not Houston in 4th. I like Miami personally, but I know that's kind of a random one. Now, the reason why Brazil has so many cities on this list is you have to consider the land they live on. A lot of this is literally just the Amazon rainforest. Their population all reside along the coast. It's not like the USA where we are afforded the luxury of being able to spread out. The US has so much livable, habitable land. Like, we don't gotta live in the big cities, whereas in a lot of other places in Latin America, they do. They gotta live in the big cities to survive. Sao Paulo is actually not only the biggest city in the Americas, but also the entire southern hemisphere. Making this city proper and not metro area makes this map useless. I mean, you can't ever really talk about, honestly, population in cities because it gets too complicated. It's like looking at flat map projections. Like, it's just however you want to do it, project it, define it. Here are the top 10 metro areas in the Americas. Sao Paulo is still number 1, then it's Mexico City, and then it's New York City in 3rd. Half of all of Japanese population live in just this red line. This is probably a big reason why trains are so popular in Japan. You just got to go on one line down that way or this way. So there's 63 million Japanese people that live in the white and 63 million Japanese people that live in the red. And now you might be asking yourself, Drew, why? Why is it like this? Well, I'll tell you there, little buddy. That is because it's extremely difficult to get millions of your people to live in mountains. And the islands of Japan really have a lot of mountains. They have to pretty pretty much just use all of their coastline to get a lot of people in there. That's not to say it's impossible to have a lot of people live in mountains, but it's very, very difficult. It's just kind of hard to build a bunch of homes when it's a giant mountain, obviously. Basically, sea level is where you want to be able to put lots and lots of your population, and preferably near the coastline. That way, you know, people can leave on boats or whatever. You can move them in and out pretty easily. The other big factor here is that it's cold. It is freaking cold the more north you go. I mean, Japan is a pretty cold place, but let me tell you, the northernmost island is pretty freezing up there. And I have a much better time living in Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe. Pretty much all of these answers come straight from like geography, things like that, the way the globe is. And again, like I said before, this is a perfect example of why trains are so OP in Japan. Like, this is probably the #1 train nation. This is the nation that could obviously use trains the most. Just go like in a straight line. You need to go to this city, all right, take the train. What makes it so jarring though is it looks like a 5-year-old randomly just put a line on Japan, and all of a sudden 63 million people are living there. It's kind of crazy. There you go, it's top comment. Now just look at a topographic map. Is there a reason why it's concentrated on the southern shore? Because there are mountains on the northern shore. I mean, the answers are actually pretty simple. Every country got bad words. I love how this graph only censors one of those bad words, though. Now, obviously, that is because this map is in English, so these other words have no meaning in our English language. So I guess that means I get to say them all. Fan is a bad word in Sweden. Fan, what does that mean? I kind of like this out of Denmark, lort. Okay, canker, that... That just, I can think, okay, well, first of all, it sounds like clanker, but is that where we got it from? I thought feck was just a word that you use to, like, it's like a censored version of the F word, or combination of the F word and hell, like heck. Like, I'll say what the frick. Is feck actually a bad word in Ireland? Poutine! What? I thought you guys eat that over there. Oh, no, that's poutine. Also not to be confused with a bald Russian guy. Those two words together do seem like they would flow nicely. Poutine, Putin. Podere. Oh, they love this in Spain. They always say this. Porra, out of Portugal. What is that? Why are they so different? I understand that Spain and Portugal obviously speak two different languages. However, they're very similar also. Well, actually, that's what the pink is kind of showing. Wait, why aren't... I just realized that there's like a color coordination to this map. I think they tried to break it all down, like what they mean, at least in English, like if it's the F word or the B word or whatever, but they couldn't do that anymore. Pazo, Malacca. What? The Malacca Strait? Sick tier. Leno. Blah. That's, I think, a lot of people's favorite. Oh no, it's Kurvwa. I love how that stretches all the way through Central Europe too. I think they even use it in Croatia. Gotta say, my favorite one has been canker though. I really wish I knew how to pronounce Scheisha. Oh, I have heard of that. Scheisha. Scheisha. The German B. So I forget. It's called S. Okay, well, Germany, stop using two S's together like that. That's a problem. Scheisha. That was bad. That doesn't sound that bad, but of course I don't speak German. Isn't it funny how, like, when you don't know another language, like, you can say words, it literally means nothing, but obviously if you know that language and you know some of these words, it's like, wow, it's relax there, man. You're being so vulgar. You know what I'm saying? If I'm reading this correctly, the pink nations are basically saying a version of the F word that we know in English. The black countries are basically calling somebody a female dog, essentially. The blue countries are saying poop, but the S word, poopy. And I'll be honest, I don't know what green is saying. I have no idea what that is. Google translated it as devil or Satan or something like that. That's kind of interesting. I don't think we have anything similar to that in English. I mean, it's not a good thing to call someone Satan, that's for sure. But I mean, I think it's common for people to be like, hello, Satan. That's a fun one. I like that one now. I want to say that now more often. This might not be perfect for all the countries. I'm not surprised by that. Also, maybe different spellings as well. The green category was apparently like religious wording, bad words there. I'm going to sound stupid for saying this. How many Nobel Prizes are there? I feel like there's way too many. Is the Nobel Peace Prize the most famous? The original Nobel Prizes covered 5 fields: physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, peace. Too many categories, damn. The problem also is that you got people like Henry Kissinger, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973. That sounds just crazy saying that out loud. Okay, so there's just a total of 6 Nobel Prizes awarded each year. Finally, I figured that answer out. I don't know why I was so confused for such a long time there. Laureate is a person who's been awarded with one of these prizes. So obviously the US is dominating. They have the most number of wins for Nobel Peace Prizes. 428, and this has been going on for over 100 years. I mean, the US has a ton of people in it. I guess it's not that surprising. Adjusted for, like, people, population, it's a little surprising that the UK is so high up there. Especially that the UK is beating out Germany. But then again, remember, the UK controlled so much, 25% of the globe, only 80 years ago. Damn, France, what's going on with you? France, you is low up on this list. Sweden, Nolan is actually in the next place. Then it's Japan with 33. Man, Japan really is like the most European country in Asia, isn't it? There's probably a better way to put that, actually. I don't know. Japan's got Russia beat out. Russo-Japanese War Part 2. Then Canada with 29 Nobel Peace Prize wins. This is Switzerland. Switzerland beating out Austria. Then it's the Netherlands, Italy, Poland, Hungary, Israel, Australia, Denmark, Norway, India, Belgium, Ireland, South Africa, China, and Spain. And then there's 119 other countries that are just out here, not in the top list. I think, unsurprisingly, the Nobel Peace Prize, it seems to be a little bit weighted towards the Western world. You're much more likely to win these prizes if you're from the West. But there are countries that have won not from the West, of course. I mean, there's a couple of African countries on here. Iraq has won one. Yugoslavia won one. They don't even exist anymore. Zimbabwe and Yemen and Vietnam and Tanzania, Saudi Arabia. Is it like a committee that votes every year? How do the prizes get handed out? Oh, well, obviously it's going to be Western influenced heavily because it's a Norwegian committee. I should have known that, but yeah, all based on Alfred Nobel's death. Completely unsurprisingly, there's tons of controversy behind the committee and the way they award things and yada yada yada. That's a given. Not surprised at all by that. But here's an overall breakdown of the Wikipedia page, if this looks a little more clear to understand. So they've been trying to become more and more global, but yeah, it's heavily weighted towards Europe and the West and things like that. It also looks like this infographic counts those with multiple nationalities multiple times. Yeah, because look at, who's that? Tesla. No one knows where the hell that guy's from. Now, everyone's claiming him. He's from this place or that place. U.S., Serbia, Croatia. Peace prizes shouldn't be included. I'm looking at you, Myanmar, and Drone King Obama. We could have lived on this Earth. We could have lived on an Earth with the continent of Zealandia. If only sea levels didn't rise this high. I wonder what it would have done to the geography of Australia too. Would there still be a giant desert here? Believe it or not, New Zealand used to actually be a lot bigger. This kind of goes back to the whole like Doggerland in the North Sea. Like if sea level rise kind of ruined so much, freaking sea level rise, it's gonna ruin more too, isn't it? I wonder, would this have made New Zealand like a complete powerhouse of a nation? They probably would have just combined these two places. You know, the British probably would have just been like, all right, they're not even going to be two separate things. They're just going to be Austro-New Zealand. You can actually physically see Zealandia in certain satellite views. I mean, you can see, obviously, there are certain islands up here that would have connected to this underwater continent. This is the long-lost 8th continent, which is 94% underwater. Also, it would have been 5 million squared kilometers. Can you imagine the wildlife that would have existed here? I mean, there's already weird stuff in Australia. I don't even think I would want to know what's right here, what would have been right here. Let's just reclaim this stuff. Get the Dutch over here. They'll figure out how to reclaim some of this land. I mean, this map is showing it's particularly green. I'm not sure if that's probably just green. I don't know. Oh, it's probably a sea level thing or just a elevation thing. But imagine how much fertile New Zealand could have been. What a lost opportunity. I wonder how much money it would cost to pull a Netherlands and remove the water and dam it up. That's what I was saying. Finally, it's old Zealand. It's funny. It does look like it's fantasy, but no, this really could have been real. Remember, there used to also be a land bridge that connected India to Sri Lanka. Yeah, it would have just all gone to the British, wouldn't have? It'd be very difficult to forget New Zealand in this world, that's for sure. DruuuWu Labubu, Drew's AI girlfriend, LuxembourgLover, LoreTrack, William, Never Change Drew unless you want to, Nolan, AlexandertheTerrible, NordTyrol, Miglu the Goat, KingBearHaze, Pavlik, Fredrik Tibblin, and Tambre. To all my Patreon subscribers this month, thank you. If you want your name here, check the description down below.